the VDC channel. Today we will discuss about file under static compression load test. This method followed by the design code DASTMD 1143 and 81. আমরা এই টেস্টের ডিটেল প্র্যাকটিক্যালে দেখব। তো প্র্যাকটিক্যালে দেখার আগে আমরা এখানে এই কোডটা যেহেতু আমাদের ফলো করতে হবে এবং সাইডে অ্যারেঞ্জমেন্ট করার সময় আমাদের এই কোডটা ইনশিওর করতে হবে, সেজন্য আমরা তার একটা ওভারভিউ এই কোড থেকে দেখে নিতে পারি। এই টেস্টটা this test is important to ensure that the construction foundation are free from defect, able to support design load. We have file test. Why this file is needed? This file is needed to assess the file serviceability, uh, design, geotechnical strength, ultimate geotechnical strength বা soil strength, testing to confirm adequacy of construction method, confirm the file shaft integrity. After review this code, shortly review this code, we will summarize the sequence of static load test. Since this is covered 12 phase, so I discuss major point here. The apparatus of the applying loads, uh, we already assume that we already driven into the ground a precast pile. If the head of the pile has been damaged during the driving, the damaged portion shall be removed prior to the test and reconstructed and smooth, plane with level. For the test on pile group, the pile shall be capped with the reinforcement concrete cap designed and constructed in accordance with the accepted engineering practice. Individual file, a steel bearing plate, test plate of sufficient thickness and not less than 2 inches by 50 or 50 mm. We will see later the test plate and bearing plate, guards or fixer shall be centered on the file cap and set perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the pile and piles within the group, except that the test pile group involving two more separate loading point and test plate shall be used at each loading point. Such as plate shall be arranged symmetrically. The hydraulic jack shall be centered on the test plate with the steel bearing plate. Adequate thickness between top of the jack ram and bottom of the test beam. এই পয়েন্টগুলো জানতে হলে এবং প্র্যাকটিক্যাল সহ দেখতে হলে, if you want to learn detail and if if you don't want to mistakes any points and get clear concept, please follow all those videos regarding the static test file test. As before, bearing plate shall be sufficient size to accommodate the jack ram and load cell equivalent device properly bearing against the bottom of the test beam. Testing equipment hydraulic sac. The hydraulic sac shall be calibrated over its complete range ramp travel from the increase and decrease the uh, loads. For hydraulic sac, the calibrated equation we may get from the buoy to calculated load and pressure. You can review detail. I just shortly reads. You notice that the frame. I will discuss figure and later and details. However, that center box platform, the test beam center box platform means that where we load applied. Suppose this area, we can apply the load here. This is not such a weight box or platform. So the central a box or platform, the test beam with the ease of the box platform parallel to the test beam and supported by or cleavings or piles to place far from the test pile or pile group are practicable, but in no case less than clear distance 5 feet. If the cribbing is used to bearing area, the cribbing at the ground surface shall be sufficient to prevent adverse settlement and weight box platform. So if you think that add this the timber cribbing or sandbank cribbing or others brick or cribbings may be installed here. If this is the test pile, the distance not minimum distance not less than 5 both sides of this test pile center. If cribbing is the bearing area of the cribbing, the ground surface, if this area is loose, the cribbing for the cribbing wall, this must be sufficient. If need, you have to design this the cribbing wall to support the weight box or platform load, desired load, test load. Load the box or platform with any suitable material such as soil, rock, or concrete, steel, water filled tank with the total weight including the test beam, the box, the platform at least 10% greater than the anticipated maximum test load. If we targeted load the state 100, if the target load is if the design load is 100, we can this to equal to 200% and the at least 10% greater, that's mean 200 into 10% additional load will be added. Apply the test load to the pile or pile group in accordance with the standard procedure The hydraulic jack reacting against the test beam. Center of the test plate pile cap. Test beam are known as the weight and sufficient size is tend to the avoid excessive deflection. Test beam must be sufficient to carry total load. They will be stable in moment capacity and deflection. Under the load support, the test beam support by the cribbing pile capped with the timber beam so that clear distance not less than 5 feet as I discussed before. Maintain between to the support of the test pile group. Place sufficient pairs of timber between the top of the crib of the timber cap. See this OS timber OS between the top of the crib and bottom is of the platform so that the platform can be stabilized during the load or unloading. So that the platform can be stabilized during load or unloading. Apparatus measuring movement. All reference beam, please note there all reference beam 1, reference beam 2, reference beam 1, reference beam 2 with the access to the dial gauge and file cap. This is test group of file. If this individual file, see this individual file, single file and group of file. For the group of file, we need a file cap. There here mentioned is the concrete file cap. Determine settlement. All reference beam shall be independently supported with family embedded with the ground at the clear distance not less than 8 feet. So if we install reference beam or datum line or datum beam support will be at least 8 feet, not less than 8 feet from the center of the pipe. I may represent this in next slide says or next fixture says dial gauge shall have the at least 2 inch travel and longer gauge distance sufficient block shall be provided allow for greater travel in the anticipated. All dial gauge scale and reference point shall be clearly marked with the reference number or letter to assist the recording accordingly. There are reference beam on side of the test pile. A file cap shall be oriented. Minimum 2 dial gauges shall be mounted and better for better accuracy we may install 4 dial gauges and average value we can take for accurate settlement in millimeter. Standard loading procedure. Unless failure occur, fast load the file to 200% of the anticipated file design load for the test individual file or 150% of the file group design load test file group. Apply the load increment 25% of the individual file or group design load. Maintain each load increment until the rate of settlement is not greater 0.001 in 0.25 millimeter per hour, but not longer than 2 hours, provide that the test file group has not failed. Remove the total test load anytime after 24 hours if the bar settlement over 1 hour period is not greater than 0.01 inch or 0.25. Otherwise allow the total load remain the file or file group at 24 hours. After the required holding time, remove the test load and decrement the 25% of the total test load with 1 hour between decrement. If the file failure occur, continue jacketing file under the settlement equal 15% of the file diameter and diagonal dimension. During the loading, provide that the test file group has not failed. Take additional reading and record at interval not exceeding 10 minutes during the first half hour, not 20 minutes, therefore the each loading increment. In workout sheet, we we will entry our observation settlement in millimeter. After the total load has been applied, provide that the pile or pile group has not failed. Take reading and record interval not exceed 20 minutes during the first 2 hours, not exceed 1 hour for the next 10 hours, and not exceed 2 hours for the next 12 hours. If pile failure occur, take reading immediately before remove the first load decrement. During unloading, taking reading and record interval. During unloading, taking reading and record interval not exceed 20 minutes. Take interval rebound reading 12 hours after all load has been removed. Some safety precaution and safety requirements and the reports. In last video, we may provide the report how to entry reports and how to calculate this settlement. Here the short form general this in report contain project identification, project location, site location, owner, structural engineer, geotechnical engineer, file contractor, test boring contractor, design location and nearest test reference log, nearest test boring, horizontal control datum, file installation equipment, test and anchor file, and other you can see from here, and that is we may discuss now that's the procedure of the test file test. So at first construct and then file is driving into the ground. Third, the file top is prepared as a smooth level. Then hydraulic jack is set up on the file head. Primary steel beam is set up above the jack and secondary beam above the primary beam. secondary beam above the primary beam. As we can see the pictures, this is the setup. As I discussed the primary beam, this is a hydraulic jack and primary beam and secondary beam and overhead blocks. A datum bar or reference bar, a datum bar or reference bar reference we will set up adjacent to the file and reference point for the future settlement and reference point for the future settlement observation of the file after it's loaded. The reference beam, yes, the required load is applied determined by the structural geotechnical engineer. This load can be applied by the brick, concrete, steel, or sandbag. The hydraulic jack bears against the head and hydraulic side main primary beam of the releasing system. The hydraulic jack progressively expand. The hydraulic jack progressively expand. This result incrementally increase the load applied from the load grid system of the file head. This this load is created from pressure. There is a hydraulic pump and load is increased. With each increment, increase the loading, the settlement of the pile is measured using datum bar as reference. Settlement count from the dial gauge. This is the wireless digital dial gauge, and we can use analog dial gauge. It is better to digital dial gauge if available. This can uh, take uh, take settlement value more accurate. Two dial gauges are installed on both sides, minimum two dial gauges, and for more accuracy, two magnetic dial gauges are installed with hydraulic jack and steel plate. Dial gauges are giving report. It is indicator and clockwise. When we will apply the load, this dial gauge will clockwise move with each increment, increasing the load of the settlement of pile percent of the target load applied up that 100% or 200% applied 24 hour. We will observe 24 hour and decremental phase. After 24 hour decremental phase will start. During the decremental dial gauge give the anticlockwise rebound settlement and test indeed after 4 to 12 hours after the decrement. Here I have noted about that point, and if I see the ground, we choose the loose soil condition in the site or project and pile driving into the ground, and we set a bearing plate 3 and 4 hydraulic jack there in a hydraulic pump to increase the pressure, the pressure gauge or pressure sensor, and top bearing plate, and then load beam as we mentioned as the primary beam. Uh, Also here the rocker beam can trail, and this is the above the rocker beam. This is the load beam and load transfer, and then the above this the uh, weight box or the load. Hope this video will be help to learn your about the static pile load test, and the next video will come with the practical field, inshallah.